Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Today is Tuesday, August the 16th, 2022, and we're here at 903 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers, and we are calling our millage rate special call meeting to order. At this time, we will have a presentation from our CFO.
Mr. Chairman, the presentations have concluded. We will be presenting just the resolution tonight.
Okay.
To be setting the millage rate for 2022 and the host percentage for 2022.
And Director Lewis will be leading that charge?
So he can read through the resolution and either present, if you need a recommendation presented, but we will not be going through the public hearing tonight.
Right, we've already satisfied the requirements of the 3 public hearings.
That is correct.
Okay, well, I'm going to follow your lead. If the plan was for you to read that resolution, then I'll yield to that.
If the board so desires,
yes.
I can read the resolution, and what I will do, I will leave the portion where the millage rate and the host percentage blank, because that is what the board will be voting on tonight. Does that help? Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will go into item number 2, which is a resolution to levy taxes for the fiscal year 2022. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of Rockdale County, Georgia annually establishes the levy or millage rate for each fiscal year, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of Rockdale County, Georgia intend by this resolution to establish the levy for fiscal year 2022 in the amount and for the purposes enumerated herein. And whereas in accordance with OCGA, Code Sections 33-8, 8.1 and 33-8-8.2, Rockdale County has received an annual revenue in the cash amount of $5,362,627.84 million in the form of a tax levied on gross direct premiums of insurance policies. And whereas Rockdale County will utilize the proceeds of this tax in the unincorporated portion of the county solely for those purposes as outlined in OCGA Code Section 33-8-8.3 in an amount corresponding to or greater than the revenues received. And whereas the Board of Commissioners has determined the total budget necessary for funding functions for general county purposes for fiscal year 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that a tax is levied on all property in Rockdale County subject to taxation for general county purposes to pay for the operating expenses of county government, including but not limited to the following functions: public works, public safety, general government, judiciary, library, health and welfare, and other miscellaneous services provided for the benefit of the public and to pay principal and interest of any general debt of the county other than general county bonds as follows. The tax levy for general county purposes, the general county, I'm going to leave that blank, per $1,000 of assessed valuation and no levy for bonds. The tax levy for public education, now this is the Rockdale County Public School System. Furthermore, the Rockdale County Board of Education at a called meeting on July 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. recommended a tax levy for 2022 of $21 per $1,000 of assessed valuation for general education purposes, and no levy for school bonds is hereby adopted and levied. The homestead option sales tax exemption. The host homestead exemption for fiscal year 2022 based upon the statutory provisions of Article 2.A of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia is calculated to be, and I'll leave that percentage blank, for fiscal year 2022. So before you tonight is the resolution to set and levy the taxes for the 2022 millage rate and the host percentage.
Thank you, Director Relish. Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
So I move to set the 2022 millage rate at 18.69 and to set the 2022 host percentage at an increase from 70% to 75%. And to adopt this resolution as presented.
I second that motion. It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Can you put my name on the record, please?
Yes.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the millage rate for 2022 has been set at 18.69, and the host percentage has been set at 75%. At this point, we will conclude this meeting just as we go to board comment. Then we will transition into our voting session. At this time, I'll start with board comments with Commissioner Washington.
I've made all the comments that I intended to make at this meeting, at the last meeting, so I will defer to Commissioner Williams.
Okay, thank you. This was not an easy decision because the millage rate last year has been 16.69. But as we have looked at the needs of the judicial complex and courthouse and administration building, we really cannot postpone that anymore. It's been postponed for so many years that other 2 mil will be dedicated to that new judicial complex so that we can go to the bond market, show that we can that we have the revenue we need to pay for it. There just isn't any other, there is no option. Our judges and our district attorney's office, our public defender's office have been very, very passionate for several years now about needing more space and needing, we have an extra judge now. We don't even have 2 of our judges at the courthouse. And so there's just no question that we have to do this. There will be some compensation by increasing the host exemption from 70% to 75%. I know that won't offset that extra 2 mil, but it will help. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the citizens of Rockdale County, all of your comments, your emails, and to give you an update as to what you can expect next. I think from the 3 public hearings that we heard during the millage rate hearings, there were several takeaways for this staff and the leadership team that operates with me on a day-to-day basis. Number one, you're absolutely correct. Not only did we hear you, we actually listened in terms of the things that you want us to do internally to make those cuts. One of the things that we've heard, and we've already moved forward, action, the staff is moving forward right now to make sure that we proceed with a forensic audit. We've heard that theme going over and over and over, and we've made the decision to move forward. Staff will be getting back with us in the coming days with information as to how that forensic audit will take place and what company will be doing that, along with the cost associated in doing that. In addition to that, we will have public information sessions will be hosted in the future to show citizens how funds are being allocated in various departments. And here's where I want to encourage the citizens of Rockdale County. We've had an outpouring, and rightfully so, during the millage rate hearings. But what we want to encourage you to do is stay on the scene. Stay involved, come to the regular voting sessions and the work sessions, because each and every Tuesday that we gather either in this facility or next door, we're making decisions about your tax dollars. One of the most confusing and convoluted things in this community to understand is the breakdown of the 3 entities: the City of Conyers, Rockdale County, and the Rockdale County Public School System. They are 3 separate entities because we have a Rockdale County Government Access Television Station, a microphone and a camera, most people come to the Board of Commissioners office. We encourage you to go over to the city if you are a city resident. We also encourage you to go to the school board because you pay 82% of your tax dollars go to the school board as well. We're encouraging you to stay present and stay on the scene. For many, many years, so many things in this county as it relates to infrastructure has been neglected. The neglect took place long before any of us ever showed up, including a lot of you all. Roads, parks, public safety, pay for employees, and yes, the judicial courthouse, which the original structure was built between 1936 and 1939. We've outgrown the space. As Commissioner May mentioned too, the fact that we have a brand new state court judge, and we literally don't have any place to put them. We've lost public safety employees and many other employees from several departments to other agencies and municipalities simply because we couldn't compete with pay and compensation. We've had to make some tough decisions. We've thought about everything that we've made, and we've made decisions in the best interest going forward here in Rockdale County. In addition to the meetings that we're asking that you stay in tune with, there will be reductions in travel and training expenses, and we're cutting in every department. The 2023 budget will be finalized at the end of this year in December. You will see firsthand we've made those cuts in several areas in every single department as you've requested. Also, the BOC, as we had planned to go on an out-of-county retreat, that retreat will take place here in Rockdale County. So more updates from us in terms of what's going to happen going forward. We encourage you, like I said a moment ago, to stay on the scene, stay in tune with what we're doing. Understand that we don't take any of this lightly. In order to bring the service delivery to the citizens of Rockdale County at the high level of demand, although things should have been done years ago to take care of several entities in this community, we're having to deal with these things now. A decision has to be made. Stay with us. If you're a city resident, go over to the city. If you, certainly you live in the county, you pay school taxes currently, we encourage you to voice your concerns. I'm not the school superintendent. I'm not the mayor of the city. So I'm encouraging you to be involved and make sure you stay in tune with what's going on. Lastly, I would say to you, for those who want to make sure you're getting clear communication, exact information, we encourage you to make sure you contact our offices. There are other folks in the community who are giving poor information, ill information, and if you want to know really what's going on, number one, show up at the meetings, or if you don't have time to come to the meetings, these broadcasts are live on Channel 23 for those who subscribe to Comcast and Xfinity, or you can also pull it up online. You can also follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can call, you can email, and many of you will always text me, so you can feel free to text to gain that information. At this point, I want to call Director Rutledge, as it relates to the reading of the millage decision this evening, before we transition into our voting session. Is there any need for an executive session related to the millage rate?
No, Mr. Chairman, we can adjourn this meeting, and if we could take just a couple of minutes of a recess and then re-adjourn and to call the meeting to order for the work session, that would give time for myself and the finance director to complete some documents to get to the tax commissioner.
Thank you so much. We're going to take in just a second a full 10-minute break. We're going to give staff who's been with us all day, we're going to take a 10-minute break and transition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This portion of our meeting related to the millage rate is adjourned. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We're calling our work session meeting to order. We appreciate you staying with us as we transition into our work session. At this time, Director Rutledge will move forward with the items on our agenda.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and the first thing we have is a special recognition and presentation. So Director Redmond is here tonight.
Okay, Director Redmond.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Madam Commissioners. If I could, I would just like to take a moment just to turn back the hands of time for just a little while.
All right.
In 2020, the 14U Junior Hawks basketball program competed in the GRPA state tournament and won the District 6 championship. This was their third year competing on the GRPA state level tournament, and due to COVID, we were unable to properly recognize the team. Every time we got ready to call an in-person meeting, then we went backwards and went virtual again, so we never had an opportunity to properly acknowledge the team. Rockdale County Parks and Recreation participates in District 6 in the Georgia Recreation Parks Association. District 6 is composed of DeKalb, Rockdale, Henry, Walton, Newton, Butts, Jasper, Morgan, Monroe, Jones, Putnam, Greene, Wilkes, Talafaro, Hancock, Baldwin, Bibb, Crawford, Peach, Houston, Twiggs, and Wilkerson. And we competed against all those counties and came out on top as the District 6 champion.
That's a big deal.
That is
Especially
a
with
big deal.
Bibb
Let's give them
County
a round of applause. I mean,
Yes.
Parks and Recreation.
So before you, or in front of your screen, and as the rest of the audience can see behind you guys, there's a picture of the kids that participated in this tournament. Now, when they come up to the front, some of them are going to look a little different, because at the time they were 14 years old, and many of them now are 17 years of age, going into their senior year or junior year of high school. So again, this is something that I did not want to let pass by, because they are the first for the county and Parks and Recreation to win a championship. Before I call them up, I just want to go over just something real short. An expert, a person who has a comprehensive and authoritative knowledge of a skill or particular area. Helen Hayes said, "The expert in anything was once a beginner." And I'll say that again. The expert in anything was once a beginner. It is said that 10,000 hours of deliberate practice are needed to become world class in any field. So, guys, could you come up to the front? So, I'll be honest with you. Normally when you see a group of kids of this makeup, they're on the news for trouble. So again, I wanted to acknowledge them for doing something positive.
Amen.
So with just a little bit of participation from the team. So raise your hand if you've been cut from a team, any team that you've ever tried out for. Raise your hand if you've been cut. All right, put your hands down. This would be equivalent to not getting the job that you applied for. So the next time you apply and are called in for an interview or a tryout, you know what adjustments to make to attain getting that job. I want you to raise your hand if you've missed a wide open layup or dunk. It's probably all y'all. Raise your hands.
Not me.
All right.
Never.
This would be equivalent to working on a big project at work and blowing it. Makes you realize not to take the moment for granted, and if presented with the same opportunity again, to do your due diligence to be successful. Now raise your hand if you've made a game-winning shot as time expires off the clock.
No.
This would be equivalent to knowing that the work you've invested in yourself has paid off for you and your teammates, but as you become an adult, that will equate to you and your families, the work that you've put in to make that game-winning shot. As you continue to become subject matter experts, and not necessarily in the area of basketball, but in life, because basketball teaches you all these qualities that you need for life, you will forever have a reference point and a home for where it all began. As you continue to move forward with your next journey in life, just know you have made strides to become an expert. I would like to thank Coach Rob, raise your hand, and Coach Miles for volunteering their time to coach these young men. I would like to also thank Mr. Franklin Hamilton, who's the athletics manager, for coordinating all of this and putting it all together. And now, if you guys would, Mr. Hamilton will open the banner. This banner will be shown in Johnson Park's new gym in the rafters, and hopefully this is the first of many. So as you get older and you have kids and grandkids, you can walk by and say, I helped put that banner up. That'll be your claim to fame. So a round of applause for him, please. Thank you.
Thank you to Director Jason Redmond and the entire staff at Rockdale County Parks and Recreation, all of our volunteer coaches, all of our parents of the young people. Let's give the young people another round of applause. I heard Director Redmond say, in order to be an expert, at some point you was a beginner.
Amen.
So we appreciate all of the young people. This was a first national championship on behalf of Rockdale Parks and Recreation. I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. Thank you so much, Director Redmond, and thank you to all of the young people and all of the life skills that's being taught through the game of basketball. All right. Who's up next?
So we now move into the agenda review portion for next Tuesday's agenda. And if it's all right, I'll just go ahead and get started.
Go right ahead.
All right, thank you. We'll start under unfinished business, item 6. Item 2022-319 is an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 2660 Old Salem Road Southeast from R1 to CRS to impose conditions upon the property to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be on your agenda for a second read next Tuesday. It was deferred from your last board meeting. All right, next item is under regular agenda, and it's item 364, Habitat for Humanity, the Conyers Rockdale. through the Finance Department for Affordable Housing. This Rockdale County issues award in 3 phases for the H4H to do new construction from the remaining Neighborhood Stabilization Program funds of $650,000. The term is August of 2022 through May 30th of 2023, and this is a grant-funded expenditure. Item 365 is with Brookmore Properties to the Finance Department for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program Coordinator in the amount of $35,000. This is a grant-funded expenditure. Item 366 is with Hills Academy through the District Attorney's Office to implement the Boost Heart program for 50 youths attending Hills Academy in the amount of $24,000. This is for 1 year with option to renew 2 additional 1-year periods. This is a grant-funded expenditure. Item 367 is with Standard Office Systems through the Technology Services Department. This is a lease. It's change order number 12 to contract 2018-77. This is to add a plotter to the current SOS lease for the Transportation Department in the amount of $212.84 per month for 63 months. Item 368 is with MCCI LLC through the Technology Services Department. This is for secure scanning, document repository, and licensing for various county components for talent management, water resources, probate court, board of assessors, and the Legislative Affairs County Clerk's Office in the amount of $422,458.75. This is host funded. Item 369 is with the Georgia Department of Transportation through the Transportation Department for the Courtesy Parkway Extension Supplemental Agreement number 3, change order number 3 to contract 2021-114. It's an additional $300,000, and is submitted for ratification. Thank you. Item 370 is with Atlas Technical Consultants LLC through the Transportation Department. This is for the Courtesy Parkway Extension Project Design Services. This is change order number 3 to contract 2017-36. This is for changes to design of the project, an additional $250,723.88. This is SPLOST funded.
Okay.
Item 371 is with Venture Netcom Incorporated through the General Services Department. This is for the indefinite delivery and indefinite quality low voltage work. 1 of 3 recommended awardees. It's a unit price contract, 1 year with option to renew 3 additional 12-month periods. Item 372 is with Southeastern Security Professionals LLC through the General Services Department. This is for the indefinite delivery, indefinite quality, low voltage work. This is 2 of 3 recommended awardees, a unit price contract, 1 year with option to renew 3 additional 12-month periods. Item 373 is with Physical Link Communications LLC through the General Services Department. This is also for the indefinite delivery, indefinite quality low voltage work. This is 3 of 3 recommended awardees. It's a unit price contract with 1 year with option to renew 3 additional 12-month periods. Item 374 is a requisition through the Fire and Rescue Department for Fisher Scientific for gas cylinders in the amount of $16,365.30. This is an SHSP grant funded. Item 375 is a requisition through the Fire and Rescue Department for MES Jaws of Life in the amount of $45,840, and this is funded through impact fees. Item 376 is a requisition through the Sheriff's Office for ProLogic ITS for a 2022 Ford Utility Emergency Equipment for CID in the amount of $38,969.70, and this is SPLOST funded. Item 377 is a requisition through the Sheriff's Office for Dana Safety Supply Incorporated for emergency equipment for 2022 Ford Explorers in the amount of $201,477.36. This is SPLOST funded. Item 378 is a requisition through the Stormwater Management Department for border equipment. It's for a case 580N four-wheel drive case backhoe loader through the Georgia State contract in the amount of $115,275. Item 379 is a requisition through the Stormwater Management Department for border equipment. This is for a case TR340 cab heat with air-conditioned skid steer. This is part of the Georgia State contract, an amount of $81,030. Item 380 is a requisition through the Stormwater Management Department for border equipment. This is for a case CX60C cab with heat and air case mini excavator, also through Georgia State contract, in the amount of $92,228. Item 381 is a requisition through the Stormwater Management Department for border equipment. This is for a case BOMAG remote trench compactor on the Georgia State contract in the amount of $39,000. Item 382 is a requisition through the Stormwater Management Department for border equipment. This is for a better built 26-foot times 5-foot tri-axle trailer. It's just through the Georgia State contract as well in the amount of $34,425. Item 383 is for Stormwater Management, is a requisition for Hooper Trailer Sales Incorporated for a 7-by-20-foot equipment trailer in the amount of $18,850. Item 384 is a requisition through the Transportation Department for Atlas Technical Consultants, LLC. This is for a grant application for safe streets and roads in the amount of $15,000. Item 385 is a requisition through the Transportation Department for Atlas Technical Consultants, LLC. This is for a grant application for Reconnecting Communities pilot in the amount of $20,000. Item 386 is an expenditure request for Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District for the Water Resources Department. This is for the 2023 dues in the amount of $23,392.50. Item 387 is an expenditure request through Tyler Technologies Incorporated for Technology Services Department. This is the renewal of the SAAS for Eagle contract in the amount of $66,861.11. I want to provide that is also for the Clerk of Court's office. Thank you. Item 388 is an expenditure request through ANS Paving Incorporated through the Transportation Department. This is for the SPLOST 4A emergency road repair at Lucky Place in the amount of $18,457. And this is SPLOST funded. Item 389 is an expenditure request for NapCare Incorporated for the Sheriff's Office. This is a request for reimbursement of off-site medical services in the amount of $20,741. Item 390 is a request for surplus of equipment from the Transportation Department. Item 2022-391 is rezoning case 2022-10, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 2294 Irish Drive Southwest from C2 to RM to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 392 is a future land use map amendment case 2022-06, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate 460 Honey Creek Road Southeast from the medium density residential future land use category to the high density residential future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 393 is a rezoning case 2022-13, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 460 Honey Creek Road Southeast from the AR to CRS zoning district to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 394 is a future land use map amendment case 2022-07, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate 9 parcels on 1716, 1726, 1736, 1980, and 1670 Lester Road, and 1630, 1632, and 1635 Farmer Road, and 1975 Sigmund Road from high-density residential light industrial land use category to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 395 is rezoning case 2022-14, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 9 parcels on 1716, 1726, 1736, 1980, and 1670 Lester Road, and 1630, 1632, and 1634 Farmer Road, and 1975 Sigmund Road from R1 to M1 to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 396 is a future land use map amendment case 2022-08, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate a parcel on 1066 Honey Creek Road from medium-density residential to office industrial land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 397 is rezoning case 2022-15, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 1066 Honey Creek Road from R1 to O1 to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. And item 398 is rezoning case 2022-12, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended by rezoning 0 Glen Road Northeast from R1 to RM to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. And this will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday.
All right. Well, thank you, Executive Director Rutledge. As we went down our agenda review for next Tuesday, the 23rd. At this time,
We are now into public comment.
we're going into public comment. I do have a few cards that have already been turned in. If there's more out there, we'll get those collected.
I'll go ahead and read the disclaimer while we're collecting.
Director Lewis, she's
Yeah,
getting them
there's
over there.
one.
She's getting them.
All right. Okay, I'll go ahead then. So, as a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments relative to any issues that are currently going through the public hearing process, matters that are in active litigation, political campaigning, or partisan politics will not be heard in this meeting. Speakers are to address the chairman, not each other or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers and/or members of the audience shall be permitted.
Are there any more comment cards to be collected? We're going to go ahead and start our public comment process. Thank you, sir. All righty. Okay, first up we have Ms. Kimberly Williams. Come on up, Ms. Williams.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Kimberly Williams. I've lived in this community since 2004. My husband and I raised our daughter here. I love Rockdale County. I have done Rockdale leadership. I was a Girl Scout leader for 12 years. I worked with each school system where my daughter was educated. And I'm also a licensed realtor since 2005. And even though I know that this has already passed and been this agenda has passed, I just want to say how I am very, very disappointed today. And I guess I'm just as guilty of not following what's going on with the county. I've just been trying to stay alive with COVID and all the other things that that's been going on. But I don't want to live in a community where we're focused on building more courthouses and jails. That's one of the reasons we moved to Rockdale County. And I also want to say that Rockdale County is an aging community. People are retiring, their kids are grown. There's nothing in Rockdale County that would attract professionals and young people. That's what keeps a community growing. The right thing to do is not to take the taxpayers who have worked hard and are ready to relax and enjoy life and ask them to build a courthouse or redesign a courthouse. There should be some other means that we could come up with as an intelligent community other than taking our hard-earned dollars to build courthouses. We need to pay our public servants. We need to pay our teachers. That's how you build a community. You need to put entertainment and art out so you can attract young people who make good money, who are buying $500,000 and $600,000 and $700,000 and $800,000 starter homes. That's not this community. Since I've been here, the only thing that I've seen Rockdale County do is put up a Del Taco, another Quick Trip, nothing that creates revenue. We have a horse park, and we used to have a lot of things at the horse park. I don't know what's going on. My daughter is 23, and she has moved out of this community because this community doesn't offer her anything. There's nothing here to do. You have to go downtown. It's perfectly okay to pay high property taxes when you live in a community that can give something back to you. When I first moved here, we were told that they were going to build an entertainment complex. That never happened. So I just want to say that it's very disappointing and disheartening. In my community, it's nothing but retirees, and we're in a recession. People cannot even afford to cut their grass. So what we're going to be seeing is foreclosures, abandonments. You're putting all these rental properties in while the parents are in other counties working. People like me and other seniors, we're going to have to be out here babysitting these kids. So I just want to say I'm disappointed.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you so much. Next up is Ms. Corliss Turner. Come on up, Ms. Turner.
I just want to say that I have seen something with my own eyes that I just cannot believe from the 3 elected officials. On August the 2nd, the 10 a.m. meeting, the chairman came out the back door, walked along the side, came up the stairs and excused me to senior citizens, and came in the front door. You had all this law enforcement, you had all this fire department, people that's supposed to protect and serve. And then you all supposed to also be concerned with the citizens. You let senior people out there on canes and walkers. You all have shown the county your heart. You see all these? We got 600 and some members in Voices for Rockdale, and we're going to be heard. We're going to have more than that. And from this day forward, we're going to be working on 2024. We're not dealing with this no more. That's insanity. And then as far as your forensic audit, we don't want you to use anybody you have ever used in the past. We want it to be presented to us. We want a public hearing. We want to say in the county. It ends right now. It's over. You don't control us anymore. We're not going to sit and believe everything that come out your mouth, because teeth and tongue can say anything. But you know what? I always say, believe half of what you hear and all of what you see. And you have shown, if you haven't shown anybody else, you have really shown me who you are. You have insulted me several times, and I haven't said nothing. But when you did that to those senior citizens, boy, you broke my heart. You stepped on. I wish I had my mama. When I see other people, young people taking their grandma to the store, my heart just breaks, and I feel like that's my mama. And you did that to seniors. Then I wrote you an email at 2:44 that afternoon to let you know it was going to be an overflow for the 6 o'clock meeting. Asked you to open the auditorium. You did not do that. You never even responded to me. But you don't hurt me. You make yourself look like, I can't say the word, but I'm going to pray for you. I promise. Because I know that there is a soft spot. There is somewhere in your heart where you have care and concern for the next man. Now, you speak very well, but with a forked tongue. I'm through.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Thank you for all that you do on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County. Next up is Mr. George Kelachek. Come on up, Mr. Kelachek.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Rockdale County, City of Conyers, and Board of Education. George Kelachek, I of the Taxpayer Association. We continue to grow worldwide. We have over 503 active members now, and we will continue to grow. Rosa Parks once said, "The only tired I was, was tired of giving in." Guess what? We're tired of giving in. I will ask you all to find a retired economist and a retired actuary to assist Mark Lewis in his endeavor in accomplishing a zero net budget next year. Also, the governor of Georgia just announced to all counties to have a flat budget for next year. Inflation is here, recession is here, it's not going away. I think you need to take the governor's advice and his CFO for the state of Georgia. Extensive idling, it needs to stop. I've witnessed it several times. I've talked to some directors. For every half hour an F-150 stays idling, it's $14.78 at $3.50 a gallon. You take that over a 30-year period, $211 million. This county needs to change its culture from one of spending to be conservative. I save tin foil, just like my parents did who came up in the Depression. I thank the county for having 11 Ford Escapes that they've traded out of Ford F-150s for. We asked for 34, we're up to 11. We need to continue the trend. We need to start a culture of caught you doing it right. Employees need to be able, and citizens bring you ideas of cost-saving items and get a pat on the back for it. I've partially done my job, but I will continue to do so. And finally, do not put a disc golf course on the most valuable piece of real estate we have in Rockdale County, which is on Parker Road. Put it in another park. You have the opportunity to market that valuable property to industrial complexes and money-making industries to support the budget. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Kellercheck. Next up is Ms. Charlotte Gillard. Come on up, Ms. Gillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nearly 100 citizens spoke at the 3 public hearings last week pleading for no tax increase. They were able to pay their taxes last year, but what about this year? You didn't listen. 4 years ago, you had the opportunity to solve the Cobb courthouse space issue. The county spent $117,000 for a bond consultant firm and months of citizens' time on a courthouse committee. There were 2 options presented, and you didn't pursue either one. Now there is another administrative and courthouse task force, and no one knows how those members were appointed. How did they get selected to that task force? The $6.6 million that was just added to this year's budget, the extra 2 mills from $16.69 last year to $18.69 this year, will be used just for bond debt payment for the courthouse. Bonds that haven't even been issued yet, to show that the county is fiscally responsible to pay these bonds. If the county was fiscally responsible, why did you need another $6.6 million? Yesterday, the $20 million bond that was authorized by the SPLOST vote in May was certified by a Superior Court judge. This gives the county a blank check since no projects were listed in the ballot question and that SPLOST won't even start until April 1st, 2023. Now, I appreciate the chairman's comments about cutting costs, but in listening to the department's 2023 budgets, I haven't heard any decreases. They're asking for more employees and reclassifying employees to a higher pay. And if any of this information is misinformation, please provide us the correct information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillard. Next up is Mr. Kurt Jacoy. Come on up, Mr. Jacoy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to read what was posted on by the state of Georgia. The Georgia budget chief asked state agencies to hold the line on spending requests for the new fiscal year. T.A. Defoe reports that the head of Georgia's budget agency is asking the state agencies to keep their budgets flat for the upcoming budget process. Although Georgia continues to see a higher net tax collection, state officials are worried that rising inflation could hurt the state's cash flow. Our people are, I can't use the word, wasting our money. If I have to cut back, by God, they can cut back. It's that simple. And in regards to property tax increases, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams, But you do not pay property taxes, and I know why, and I understand it. As far as I'm concerned, ma'am, you should not be allowed to vote to raise my taxes. Period. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jacoy. Next up is Mr. Carl Blanche. Come on up, Mr. Blanche.
Apparently I'm late and I lost. I've been a citizen of this county for 22 years, live in Lake Capri. Okay? This whole thing about this taxation that has already been voted for, that's triple taxation on the people. The people who made this county, it hurts them the worst. The ones that have been here 20 plus years. You know, the ones that built this county. Because we've gone into retirement, we're on set salaries. It hurts. Now, the thing is, wait a second. Is there a solution? Yeah, there is a solution. All right, you're going to get more money out of assessments. And that's the thing. And the, the mega thing, when you raise that, you're going to get three taxations. Okay, what you need to look at in this county is business. And get business in here. And as for your complaint about taxes, I can give you 3 examples in this county where we have had ka-cling, ka-cling, ka-cling for more money for this county. Covington Highway, a nice huge warehouse went up. Gee's Mill, just north of railroad tracks, a nice huge thing went up. A subdivision by BJ's, that went up. Ka-cling, ka-cling, ka-cling. That's money in your thing. So you don't need to take it out of us with this raise in the millage rate. And that's basically what I have to say. You're hitting us 3 times, and you know, you just got to get more business in here, and there you're ka-cling, and it would help this community.
Thank you, Mr. Blanche. Next up is Ms. Brenda Cheatham. Ms. Cheatham, come on up. Ms. Brenda Cheatham.
Good evening, Chairman and Board.
Good evening.
I just want you all to break down in dollars and cents for those of us who are sitting in here. What does 18.69 equate to when you're talking about, you know, say a property that's $250,000? We just want, you know, we want some numbers, because all this other stuff is like, for me, it's over my head. So I just want to know, what's the dollar amount you're talking about with this 18.69? I realize it's 2% more than what we paid last year. So if somebody could just break that down for us, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Cheatham. We'll take care of that. Next up is Ms. Tiffany Howard. Come on up, Ms. Howard.
I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm not feeling as well today. I have a suggestion. I know that we are using a lot of tax abatements to attract big business to our county. And I'm wondering if we can ask big business at this time to suspend those tax abatements and pay their fair share in taxes and keep their business here and show some customer appreciation to their loyal customers here in Conyers. Because we've got to work together right now. We all know what we're up against and why we are cutting back on everything. We're not even going to church anymore. We can't afford the gas to get down to the west side of Atlanta to go to church. You know, so at this time, I want to speak to the businesses in Conyers. Is to work with your customers and take a little bit less in your profit margin right now. And what I mean by that, if you charge $100 for something and you stand to make about $70 in profit, well, people on a fixed income and seniors can only afford to pay $80. Take $50 or don't make a profit at all. Because that's what it's boiling down to. We've got to start working together in this county. We've got to start working together in the United States if we're going to survive through what we're going through right now. A lot of people are not recognizing how serious of a time this is. But we're getting hit from all sides of the paradigm. And only together, as we built this country together, as we fought and died for this country together, we got to work together. And we're all capitalists here. We all are. But take a little bit less or don't take nothing at all right now, so that you will stand to make at least your $50 profit. So that's all I'm saying. And I have one other suggestion. I would have liked to have seen the forensic audit to have taken place before you all set the tax budget. We would have liked to have known where we stood. I'll just finish this real quickly. Where we stood before we decided what we're going to spend our money on and how we're going to charge one another. We really needed that insight. And I'm hoping that once we do get the results of the forensic audit, will we be able to amend these taxes based on those results? That's a question.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Next up is Ms. Diana Lee Collins. Come on up, Ms. Collins.
Well, good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I got a question, and I want to address it to Sherry. Can I do that?
Well, all of your questions have to be directed to me, Ms. Collins. You can present your question, but bring it to me.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to bring it to you.
All right.
On travel, May 16th, 2022, did you go to Alaska?
So at this time in the open setting, and you've posed your question, and that's fine. I think you will get a response from the commissioner at an appropriate time. In the open setting, I'm the only one that's going to engage with the general public as the presiding officer of the meeting. But you put your question out there, so you will be, and the commissioner heard you, so she'll be getting you an answer.
Okay, and I got another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Doreen is going on a trip to San Antonio for her mental health conference. And she has the right to go because this is her field. But anybody else, I don't feel they should be going on our tax dollars. So I want to know why is another commissioner, why is she going with Doreen on this trip.
Okay. I've got your question and duly noted, and you will receive a response. Commissioner Williams have heard your question, and she'll respond accordingly.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I got another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a task force for our businesses? Do we need a task force? Do we need a task force?
Mm-hmm. So let me answer that question about a task force for our businesses. So there's a group called the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council. That council is comprised of several entities: the City of Conyers, Rockdale County Public School System, and the Rockdale County Development Authority. This council is made up of members that are a part also of the local Chamber of Commerce. This entity has existed in Rockdale County long before me and long before you. So that is the primary council who entertains new businesses coming into our community. It's called the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council. Their office is over on Green Street. It's housed in the same building where the Chamber of Commerce office is located. The executive director is Mr. Kevin Hanna. He is the executive director of that council.
Okay. So I think we need also in Rockdale County, I think we need a citizen task force. So how do you feel about that?
So what I would recommend, there are several opportunities for citizens to chime in, if you would, in terms of the budget for the County Board of Commissioners, the City Council, as well as the school board. In terms of a council exclusively for businesses, I really would recommend that you go over and talk to the executive director of that council I just talked about, the Conyers Economic Development Council, and share your thoughts with them. Maybe you'll be also allowed to come to one of their meetings and express to them your concerns about economic development here in Rockdale County. That's a separate group of local citizens comprised of the group that I talked about.
Okay. And I'm asking this.
Take your time.
I am disappointed on what happened today. Very disappointed. And I think that our commissioners need to do better. We need to do better. We elect our elected officials to work for the people of Rockdale County, not Madonna, not any other place in Rockdale County. Our sheriff, our fire department, you work for us. And we need that. It's gonna be changes. It's gonna be changes. In Rockdale County, it's gonna be changes. I'm loyal. I'm a leader, but I'm very disappointed. And now, our citizens here, they're very disappointed. They're hurt. They gotta live, we gotta live. I'm 65. You think I wanna continue working? My husband's 72. We just bought a house 3-4 years ago in Weatherstone. Even though he don't pay taxes, but still. I have friends, I have family that lives in Rockdale County. I'm probably older than them. They might be a little younger than me. But we have to look out for our senior citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Next up is Ms. Betty Maddox Battle. Come on up, Ms. Battle.
Good evening, Chairman.
Good evening.
Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Betty Maddox Battle. I am the founder of a 501c3 nonprofit, which is a homicide support group. It is well documented that violence has become one of the nation's most endemic and now epidemic in the middle of a pandemic all over this world. A comprehensive community approach recognizes that no single program is sufficient that there are many opportunities for effective prevention within the community. Many stakeholders are affected by gun violence, suicide, and mass shooting. According to the Gun Violence Archives, this year there have been 417 mass shootings. We got a $4,000 grant from the Hospital Authority here in Rockdale County. I'm so hurt and I'm disappointed. And let me say this first. Ms. Commissioner Washington, thank you for calling me back. And Commissioner Williams, thank you for calling me back. But I've got a mother who was driving around since Sunday in the car with 3 children, and the youngest one is 3 months old. And I asked you, Commissioner Williams, do we have some type of program here in Rockdale County for these families who are homeless? And then we wonder why, the mass shootings are going on. We all can have moments of pure mental health, but not everyone has mental illness. And you asked me the question, does the young lady have mental illness? It doesn't matter. She needs some services. And I hope you don't take this personally, because I'm so emotional right now. And I hear the passion. I'm 72 years old. I hope you all will revisit this as far as the taxes. My husband and I can't afford to buy another house. And I leave you with this. What affects one directly actually affects us all indirectly. We talk about love, but we don't live love. And the late Jimi Hendrix once said, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, that's when the world will see change. I hope and I pray that we will revisit. There are solutions in the problem that we're having now. I humbly submit that you all will revisit this. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Battle. Next up is Ms. Josie Dean. Come on up, Ms. Dean.
How y'all doing this evening? I didn't want to come, and my husband never said nothing. He said, Josie, he said, you need to go. And I got kind of upset. I'm just like, now he telling me to go, and normally he be telling me, Josie, leave them people alone, let them people do what they want to do, and I'm just like, all right. So today, I just come to tell the citizens of Rockdale County, when you vote for these people and you vote for them over and over, you give them power to do just what they just done to you. You paid them to treat you like that. You re-elected Doreen to do you like that. You re-elected Oz to do you like that. You re-elect Sharon to do you like that. And I don't feel sorry, because I call all these years coming up here trying to tell and warn, and all these people are disappointed with Oz because they had Oz back. Everybody had his back. Everybody ever had his back. He stabbed everybody in the back. All of these citizens, they was fighting me like hell trying to keep Oz Nesbitt and Doreen. And what did they get? They got just what they asked for. Nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves. Nothing. I thank you, Oz Nesbitt. I thank you, Doreen, and I thank you, Sherry, from doing their asses in, because they shouldn't have voted.
Next up is Ms. Whitney Tucker Jenkins. Come on up, Ms. Jenkins.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to remind you of the message that I shared with you last week. If you don't remember, I encourage you to go back and watch the video. I was wearing a fuchsia t-shirt that read, "Born for a time such as this." So I will take the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds of my time to give a moment of silence before I make my last statement. Thus says the Lord, I warned you.
Next up is Mr. Brian Jenkins. Come on up, Mr. Jenkins.
There's something about these Jenkinses, aren't they? No relation. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a couple of areas that I'd like to expound on. The county is spending millions of dollars. We just completed Salem's Gate. We're embarking on the courthouse, but there's no apprenticeship programs. There should always be an apprenticeship programs associated with these projects. For these young black men that you've seen standing before you could have an opportunity to develop a skill. So we're pouring money back into the community instead of allowing firms to come into the county, taking millions of dollars and leaving. Additionally, we're building a courthouse on taxpayers' dollars. The newest courthouse is in Chatham County in Savannah, I believe. You build a courthouse using SPLOST money. You never build a courthouse raising taxes. You just don't do it. And I encourage everyone to research that. The newest courthouse is being built in Chatham County, and they use SPLOST dollars to build the courthouse. And the reason why is because those dollars will be accounted for. So when you raise taxes and build a project such as this one, there's a lot of hands all over the place. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Additionally, we should focus on marketing Rockdale. Well, you can't market Rockdale if you keep raising the taxes. Businesses will not come into the county because you keep raising the taxes. All right, and so we have to learn how to market Rockdale County. We can't keep growing government. We must reduce the size of government. I know my time is short. When we raise taxes, we also increase crime. Watch it now. Now, you heard what I said. You watch what happens. Pay attention to what's going on now and wait 5 years from now and you'll see what I'm talking about. And let me end with this. The commissioner is going to, on a trip that we're paying for, as has been said prior to my standing here, to address some mental issues. What we seen today was a display of a mental issue. We have a commissioner that doesn't pay taxes, but votes to raise our taxes. Oz talked about a whole lot of things, but that courthouse project is going to cost us big money. I want you to understand that. Never mind all those little small things. It's those big dollar projects that you need to pay attention to. Follow the dollar.
Next up is Ms. Jackie Johnson Dixon. Come on up, Ms. Dixon.
Good evening, commissioners and
Good
fellow
evening.
citizens of Rockdale County. I must thank our Board of Commissioners for crafting an issue that will throw all citizens in the same pot. It's as if you threw us on the Titanic and said, you better figure it out. Never have I seen as many different folk from different backgrounds all in agreement. Thank you. In August of 1963, I saw a similar movement. My mother forced me to go to Washington, D.C., to march on Washington. I was not interested in it. But it was the beginning of a populist movement. And that is happening here. I'm glad about it. Because as citizens, we have gotten real lazy. We have not shared our concerns or our interests in this county. We've left it all to you, and that ain't right. When I went to Washington, D.C., I saw black people, red people, white people, and even Aleutian Islanders. And that is what happened here in Rockdale County. When you talked about increasing taxes, forcing people to pay taxes for children they don't have, regardless of their age, when you do things that we perceive as unjust, we rise up. We woke up, looked around and saw development devoted to apartments and townhouses. We realized the necessity of our involvement in what happens to our county. Again, I thank you. We were fast asleep, but now we're awoke. We are no longer members of a given party. We are Rockdale citizens. And now we will determine what happens in Rockdale County.
Next up is Miss Anita Needing. Come on up, Miss Anita.
Hello. My name is Anita Neiman, and I just wanted to take a few minutes because my husband and I most recently have been getting involved in attending this meeting, Board of Ed, City Council. And honestly, the things that everyone is saying are accurate. You know, I'm 40 years old, my husband's 40 years old. We don't do anything here except for grocery shop and live in our home and walk my dogs at the park. That is it. If we do anything, it is outside of the city of Conyers. We are going to Atlanta, we are going to Norcross, we are going to Alpharetta, we are going to other places in order to do things because you have so many fast food restaurants, there's way too many gas stations to count. If I see another Waffle House, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, there's nothing here for us to do. We don't even have children yet, but when we do, I still will need to take my kids elsewhere in order to do anything outside of go to Costly Mill, which is right around the corner, which y'all totally overpaid for because there's not much there. There's not much going on except for sometimes in the summer and the little concert series things that you all have. Every time I've walked my dog, especially when it's been warm, the beach has been closed. So you're raising all these taxes, you're spending all of this money on what I don't know. Why we need a new courthouse is beyond me. There's not that many people that live in this county. There's only 18 schools in this county, if I counted correctly, which are currently D schools and have been since 2018. So even if I had children, it would be very difficult for me to even send my child to the school that's right down the street from me, which is Hightower Trail, which could use a little freshening up. Okay? So the fact that you all are, let me go back for a second. My husband and I own a home over on Dennard. I am now paying $4,000 a year in taxes. My mortgage went up $271 this year. And I am a social worker. My husband is also a social worker. I work in a school system. I am fine with the appropriate parties receiving raises. School staff, police, fire department, and all of that. 100% on board. But when I went to the Board of Education meeting and the superintendent had the audacity to tell everyone that was there that the letter grade, the CCRPI score associated with the schools here does not count is absurd. So don't pacify. Because I have not been involved, but now I am involved. And if there's one thing that's about me, is I'm good at what I do, which is advocating. So keep that in mind when you see my face and my husband as well.
Next up is Ms. Lois Collins. Come on up, Ms. Collins.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Wow. I'm embarrassed, actually. I usually watch these sessions over on the television because I do a little bit of traveling, and my kids drive 23 miles from where we live in Rockdale County to go to school. They've always gone to school outside of Rockdale County. My son is in college now, thank God, and my daughter's in the 12th grade, and she'll be graduating soon. But it breaks my heart because I love this county. My husband and I own 2 homes here in Rockdale County. We've had several businesses and we still do. And the thing that I don't understand, guys, is when things get tight, my husband and I cut back. And we look at our budget. We are physically responsible. We really are. We do everything we possibly can because we're very sensitive when it comes to spending other people's money, right? And so it breaks my heart to listen to everything that everybody's saying here today. And then I saw the massive tax increase. And I gotta admit, if you don't pay taxes, you shouldn't be making a decision on other people paying taxes. I really do believe that. I think there's a conflict of interest with that overall. But with all that being said, Lois, how can you make a difference? How can I make a difference? Number one is, why do my kids drive 23 miles? I've been here 27 years, as long as I've been married, because our school system sucks, okay? It is horrible, okay? And I'm not talking about the teachers itself, okay? So please forgive me, okay? I spend lots of money, and thank God I'm a good saver. So my husband and I always, when we see what's going on in the economy, we cut back. How could you justify a building over what's going on? I mean, what news are you looking at? You know, we're in a recession. You know, why would you put that on the backs of just the homeowners, property owners? We're not the only ones that live in the county, right? Why would you just put it on us? We have so many people that comes through this county and they're not paying taxes. So being physically responsible should be rule number one. Look at your own checkbook. When it starts to go down, you start to cut back. You don't increase overall. I have the utmost respect for your roles because I know it's very difficult and it's very stressful. But I'm telling you, this is political suicide for every single one of you that's sitting on this board right now, okay? It really is. We want physical responsibility. Go back to the table. And you know what? I have to blame myself. I need to do more to help. I'm here if you need me.
Thank you, Ms. Collins, and thank you for all that you do on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County. Now we'll go into board comment, and I'll start with Commissioner Washington.
Good evening. The millage rate and the budget, they're two of our biggest responsibilities, and they're definitely the hardest. I would like for all of the people that say that we don't need the courthouse. Well, let me back up. I was not in favor of this 18.69 millage rate. I wanted to keep the millage rate where it was, but I am in favor of the need for a courthouse. I was most disappointed because I thought this whole thing should have been done differently, set out differently. There should have been more education about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and I thought that you all should have seen the options that we had so that you could see what the best option was. But everybody who's saying that we don't need a courthouse, none of you all, we have had at least 4 courthouse tours where we invited the public. And it's not just the courthouse, it is the admin building. Our admin building is literally being held up with beams, with steel beams. And we would pay more than this if something happens to our workers while they're there. Now, that being said, it is a hard decision that had to be made. For everybody saying that we need to be more fiscally responsible, we came within budget for everything that we said we were going to do in the 2022 budget. As a matter of fact, we would have had money to go into our savings. It's the courthouse that's what is something we needed that is making the millage rate go up, the 2 mills. So the other thing that we are in talks of the budget now. The budget is going to be online. I encourage you all, please go through the budget. Ask for last year's budget, compare it to this year's budget so you can see that we aren't increasing our spending on most things. We did have an increase in the sheriff's budget because you all, as citizens, asked for him to do something different with his medical services, and he did, and that is an increase in our budget. That was the only major big spend that we had in the budgets. I too wish that we had done something different as it pertains to the financing of this courthouse, but it is something that is needed. I encourage you all, everybody who said that they wanted to get involved, help us with this budget. This is the time. to go through it. No, there were 2 citizens that stayed for all of the budget hearings. We had 3 days worth of budget hearings. We had 2 citizens here. We're asking you all, stay involved, give us your input, show us where you think we could make these budget cuts. But remember, like I said last week, when I started this commission as commissioner in 2017, we had a technology service department that hadn't had absolutely no money put in it in 10 years. Imagine where this county was as far as technology services if you don't put any money in technology in 10 years. It was so bad that the clerk of court could not do jury duty because she couldn't get online. And when we asked what was the reason for this, they told us that the wind it was too windy for the servers to stay online. We have to put money in infrastructure in order to run the county. When we had our budget hearings and we were asking for priority with the roads, they told us it cost $1 million for 1 mile of road to resurface the roads. We do a lot of that with our SPLOST dollars, but a lot of that comes from the money you all pay from taxes. So when you all look at the things that have to be done and you see how expensive it is, we're taking all of those things into consideration when we make these decisions about your budget. I'm open to having a citizen group work with me, because when I look at the budget, I look at how we spent not just this year, what we're going to do this year, but what we did last year and the year before that. So I'm open to having a group of citizens come and look at this budget with me so that you all can see how we make these decisions with your money. The 2022 millage rate went for what we've already spent the money on this year, and we were within budget for this year. I'm asking you all to help me or help us with next year's budget. That's what we're working on right now. Let your voices be heard there. We've gotten numerous emails about this millage rate increase. Email me saying that you want to form a citizens committee to help look at the budget. I'm very open to that. Also, we have our CRETSI, Diana, we have CRETSI meetings the 2nd Thursday of every month at the Conyers-Rockdale Economic Development Council meeting. It's at 8:30 in the morning. You're welcome to attend. And we are working on a comprehensive, workforce development program that does include apprenticeship programs. It's going to be a state-of-the-art program, and we're working with the federal government on things on that behalf. So we do have things like that coming down the pipe, and I will you're definitely welcome to attend the meetings also with the CRETSI, which that is the arm that does our economic development. We're in board comment for the regular meeting, right?
It's on.
Okay. I had to remember all of this. The other thing that we are rolling out, so people don't understand, a lot of times people don't understand how housing needs affect economic development. Commissioner Williams and I are hosting the first ever housing summit. That'll be Monday from 2 to 4, is that right? 2 to 4 at a JH House. Please come, make your comments there about and listen to the needs for housing as part of economic development. I'm sorry, it's at JP Carr, did I say it? It's JP Carr from 2 to 4. Finally, for small businesses, I'm starting a small business program for our small businesses. It's intended to take you from A to Z, from your inception in your mind all the way to everything you need from A to Z with marketing, how to do business in the county, how to promote all these things. Our first one is the 24th, which is Wednesday, at 6 o'clock, and that will be at Costley Mill. So, I'm sorry? Right, this is going to be a series. So, once again, if you're interested, we do have several people already signed up. Please contact me, and you can be on the, you can join from there. That's all I have.
Commissioner Williams.
So Commissioner Washington beat me on the housing forum that's happening Monday, the 22nd, from 2 to 4:30 at JP Carr. But I do have the list of participating organizations. And, you know, there's a critical need for housing. There's a critical need for temporary emergency housing. We know that. So here's who's participating: Conyers Housing Authority, DFACS, Rockdale Coalition for Children and Families, Rockdale County, Congressman Johnson's office, Restoration Storehouse. There will be a speaker from Georgia State University Urban Studies Institute and the University of Georgia Small Business Development Center, and someone from Viewpoint Health. So please, it would be worthwhile to attend, and we hope to see you there. I did want to talk for a minute about the trip to San Antonio tomorrow. San Antonio has pretty much the model that the nation has looked to for diverting people from criminal justice, from incarceration, diverting people from mental health institutions, and providing complete wraparound services. They have a huge social services aspect to what they do. They have a housing component to what they do. They have employment assistance. They have case managers. For those who are not interested in doing that yet, they have a safe space for people who prefer to just, you know, they have mats and they come get them at night, and they sleep in a safe, confined spot and have a place to shower. And they choose to do that because they're not ready for the services that could be provided. And so those people going on that trip include our sheriff's office, our sheriff, and one of his staff, because they have a criminal justice component to this that is second to none. We have people who are involved in peer support, because they use peer support in a way to help people move from this situations they're in to improving their lives. We have court staff going, and we have our diversion center program manager going. We also have our general services manager going, and a couple others from the county, because it's important to get the entire full picture of what they do and how it affects the county. One person can't take in all of that information because they don't have that expertise. So those are really my comments.
All right. Commissioner Washington, you got any additional comments you'd like to make? So I'm going to give closing comments. First of all, I want to say thank you to the citizens of Rockdale County who came through this whole process, both with the millage rate as well as this work session this evening. I want to go back to something I stated earlier about the importance of education and information, making certain that you're engaged not as a one-time Rockdale citizen, but stay engaged, stay on the scene. Again, I'm going to encourage you, those of you that live within the city limits of the city of Conyers, go to the city council meeting. I also want to encourage you to go to the school board meeting, talk to your school board members who are elected, request to have a meeting with your school board superintendent. You are the taxpayer. In reference to the courthouse here in Rockdale County, I strongly encourage you to talk to any judge, the DA, any employee, any sheriff's deputy, and I also encourage you to take a tour. In reference to the county administration building, and this is a part of it that you're sitting in, the old First Baptist Church. The admin building behind us or adjacent to this facility is being held up right now with steel beams, the integrity of the building. We don't know what Mother Nature is going to do throughout inclement weather. Well, guess what? We have employees in there. And there's already been a study done and conducted that tells us we need to make haste to move forward for future plans in Rockdale County. Public safety. I talked about the sheriff's office and the fire department. We are in constant competition with other agencies and municipalities. Just this afternoon, DeKalb County announced a whopping pay increase, something they've never done to that amount ever before in order to keep their police officers as they're having to compete, just like our folks, all across the region. We're expecting some inclement weather in the next few days. There's going to be a lot of rain. Over 40 years in Rockdale County, you've heard me talk about the fact that the stormwater department did not exist. Many of you have sent me pictures, videos. I've been to your backyard that looks like streams and lakes and rivers. Because once upon a time, prior to any of us being here, someone approved for things to happen that should not have happened.
Amen.
Now, we have residents, families who've been in their homes 35 to 45 years. They've paid for their property, but now they can't get out. And I'm sure by the time we make it to Sunday of this week, with the prediction and the amount of rain that they're forecasting, we will receive more of those. So the infrastructure in your community has to be improved. Roads and maintenance. And there are amenities. We have a very robust Parks and Recreation Department. Let me be clear about something. Rockdale County Board of Commissioners does not control or have any authority over the Rockdale County public school system.
Or the horse park.
We do not own the horse park. The horse park is owned by the city of Conyers. I want to make sure, because a lot of confusion takes place. Here's the other thing. The Board of Commissioners, we don't go out and bring in Waffle Houses. We don't bring in any of those businesses. Those businesses don't belong to us. When a business considers any community in any place, they're going to do a feasibility study and determine, based upon the median household income, whether or not they can afford to even set up shop. All of that has to do with what's happening in this demographic. If we do not make the decision to plan for the future of this county, there are going to be bigger problems. The longer we wait, the more it's going to cost. Let me tell you, I understand your frustration, and I heard you very loud and very clearly, and there will be cuts, and we're going to cut back in several areas, and you're going to see it. But I want to close my comments tonight. I want to make sure, because I've thought too, and let me just say this to those people who believe that they can prophesize into my life. I serve a God that never makes mistakes. And I have my own relationship with my Father. I do have a heart. I've been on the front lines of this community serving in every crevice and crack and corner in Rockdale County. A part of my problem is that my name just happens to be the most recognizable name in all of Rockdale County. Why? I'm glad you asked. Because I'm everywhere. I'm out, I'm visible, and I respond, and I'm receptive, and I'm accessible to the people in the community. So, because people don't see too many other folks that are elected, everything comes in my direction. It's okay. I asked for this role. To whom much is given, much is required. But make no mistake, Oz Nesbitt has a heart. I have a big heart. And the people in this community know who I am and know what I stand for. I'm going to continue to fight for the citizens of Rockdale County. I'm going to continue to make the right decisions. There's one Rockdale, not two Rockdales, and all of those negative naysayers who have personal things simply because they don't like me as an individual, then I'm going to suggest you pray to your God. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to serve the people of Rockdale County. We're not taking anybody's house. We're not taking anyone's home. That's a bunch of rhetoric. And I really pray for those people who preyed on the weak and the vulnerable population in this community, making them think that we really were going to snatch them out of their homes. That was uncalled for. At the end of the day, I am an elected official. I'm your chairman. But guess what? I'm human. My birth certificate don't say anything about the chairman of Rockdale County. It simply says Oz Nesbitt. Director Relish, is there any need for executive session this evening?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is adjourned.